Sweetheart, we're inside now. Maya whispered, her breath fogging in the winter air as she wrestled the back door of the sprawling Hawthorne estate. One shoulder held a worn purse, one hand gripped a diaper bag, and her foot nudged the stroller forward, because when you're a single mother, you learn to open doors without having enough hands. Her 8-month-old daughter Lily sniffled softly, fever-warm, beneath too many blankets. Daycare had refused her no sick babies allowed, and Maya had no family to call no savings to miss a shift. She stepped into the mansion's silence, where marble floors reflected chandelier light like cold water. Everything was expensive. Everything was spotless. And somehow everything felt like a tomb. She worked quickly, chasing warmth room to room, until one heater finally hummed in the far office upstairs. Maya parked Lily safely nearby and hurried back to the chores, counting minutes like money. Then 2 hours later, she heard it. A muffled cry. Maya ran, heart punching her ribs. The baby monitor hadn't beeped. The office door stood ajar. Inside, a man she'd never seen stood with his back to her. Tall shoulders tense beneath a dark sweater, cradling Lily against his chest, rocking her with the careful patience of someone who knew how to hold a fragile world. When he turned, his eyes weren't angry. They were shattered. "Who are you?" he asked, voice low, almost lost. Maya swallowed. "I'm the housekeeper. I didn't know you were home." The stranger, Adrian Hawthorne, the owner, stared at Lily like she was a miracle he wasn't allowed to touch. And in that breathless silence, Maya understood something before anyone said it out loud. Her life had just changed. He didn't hand Lily back right away. Adrian Hawthorne stood there, as if moving would shatter something invisible between them. His arms rocked instinctively, slow and steady, the way exhausted parents do at 3 in the morning. Lily's cries softened her tiny fingers, curling into the fabric of his sweater, trusting without hesitation. "I heard her crying," he said quietly, as if explaining himself to the room. I thought I was imagining it." Maya finally found her voice, though it trembled. "She's sick. The cold makes it worse." She stepped forward, arms outstretched, every instinct screaming to reclaim her child. Only then did Adrian seem to realize what he was doing. His hands hesitated before loosening, lingering a second too long, as if memorizing Lily's warmth. When he placed her back in Maya's arms, something broke across his face. Fast, controlled, practiced. The kind of pain that had learned how to stay silent. "I didn't know anyone would be here," he said, turning toward the window. Outside, the grounds were dark, endless. The house was supposed to be empty. "I was told you were overseas," Maya replied softly. "I'm sorry if I—" "No." He shook his head. "You didn't do anything wrong." His voice lowered. She needed someone. The words hung there heavier than they sounded. Maya adjusted Lily against her chest, feeling the baby relax, already drifting back toward sleep. "Thank you," she said. "You calmed her." Adrian didn't answer right away. He stared at the reflection in the glass, at a man who looked successful, powerful, untouchable. And yet his shoulders sagged, like someone who had been holding up a collapsing roof for too long. "You can bring her," he said suddenly, not turning around. "If you need to. The baby. You don't have to hide her." Maya blinked. "I don't want to be a problem." For the first time, he looked at her fully. His eyes were tired. Not sleepless tired. Grief tired. "You're not," he said. "This house has had too much silence." As Adrian walked past her toward the hallway, his shoulder nearly brushed hers. Warmth. Human. Real. "Welcome to Hawthorne Estate, Maya," he said without looking back. And as the door closed behind him, Maya felt it again, that quiet certainty settling deep in her chest. Some doors don't just open into rooms, they open into lives. The truth came later that night, carried not by drama, but by exhaustion. Maya was placing a mug of coffee on the edge of Adrian's desk when he spoke, his voice so calm, it took her a second to realize what he was saying. "My wife died 8 months ago." The words didn't echo. They sank. During childbirth, he continued, eyes fixed on the dark surface of the desk, as if it might hold him together. She didn't make it. And our son, neither did he. Maya felt her breath catch, but she didn't interrupt. Some confessions don't want comfort. They want witness. I left, Adrian said, almost apologetic. Switzerland. Doctors called it treatment. Grief therapy, sleep studies, medication. He gave a humorless smile. They had names for everything except the hole. He rubbed his palms together slowly. I came back because I couldn't stand being there anymore. Because no matter where I went, the silence followed me. His jaw tightened. This house was supposed to be empty. Quiet. Predictable. He finally looked up at her then. When I heard your baby crying today, for a moment I thought I'd lost my mind. Maya swallowed. She saw it now, the way his hands had known how to rock Lily, the way his body had leaned into the sound instead of away from it. She was real, he whispered. And for the first time in months, something needed me. The room felt unbearably still. Maya thought of the nights she'd held Lily alone, praying into the dark, wondering how long a heart could carry everything by itself. She nodded slowly. This house doesn't just have ghosts, she said gently. It has people who loved deeply. Adrian exhaled, like someone who'd been holding his breath for a very long time. I'm not broken because I'm weak, he said. I'm broken because I loved them. Maya met his eyes steady and unafraid. Then you're not broken, she replied. You're human. Outside the office, Lily stirred softly, a small sound of life pushing against the walls. Adrian listened. And for the first time since loss had hollowed him out, he didn't flinch. Some pain doesn't disappear. It waits until love finds a way back in. The days that followed didn't announce themselves as turning points. They arrived quietly, stitched together by ordinary moments that somehow felt sacred. Breakfast became the first ritual. Maya would come downstairs with Lily bundled against her chest, and Adrian would already be there, standing barefoot in the kitchen, staring into a coffee mug he hadn't touched. At first, they spoke only when necessary, polite, careful words. But Lily changed that. She gurgled at the sound of his voice, reached for his watch, smiled at him in a way that felt personal. Adrian noticed everything. He brought a small heater into the office without saying why, fixed the loose stair railing before Maya could ask. One morning she found a wooden high chair placed near the table, brand new, still smelling like the store. I thought it might help, he said, suddenly very interested in aligning the legs perfectly. At night, when Lily's cough worsened, Adrian would appear in the hallway. Sleeves rolled up, hair undone, as if sleep had never been an option anyway. He never hovered, never intruded, just stayed close enough to matter. You can rest, he told Maya once, voice low. I'll listen for her. She didn't argue. Exhaustion made honesty easy. Sometimes at 2 a.m, Maya would come down to warm a bottle and find Adrian already there, sitting at the kitchen table, surrounded by untouched papers. They shared silence the way some people share prayer. This house used to echo, he admitted one night. Now it breathes. Maya understood. She felt it too. The way laughter lingered in corners, the way Lily's sounds stitched warmth into walls that had once felt cold. They were still strangers, still careful. But something real was forming, something unspoken and undeniable. One afternoon, Lily reached for Adrian's finger and held on. He froze. Then slowly, carefully, he let himself smile. In that moment, Maya realized the truth they hadn't said aloud yet. They weren't just coexisting under one roof. They were building something fragile and brave, a family shaped not by blood, but by choice, presence, and the courage to stay. The night everything broke open came without warning. Lily woke, screaming, sharp, frantic, the kind of cry that doesn't ask, it demands. Maya scooped her up and felt it instantly. Too hot. Burning. Panic flooded her veins as she fumbled for the thermometer, her hand's clumsy breath shallow. Please, she whispered, pressing it under Lily's arm. 39.5 degrees. No. Her voice cracked. Lily writhed, crying harder, rejecting the medicine, her tiny body trembling against Maya's chest. Maya paced the room, rocking, pleading, bargaining with God and fear all at once. The door burst open. Adrian didn't ask permission. He didn't hesitate. He crossed the room in 2 strides, already focused, already there. "Hospital," he said after one touch to Lily's forehead. "Now," Maya tried to argue. He didn't let her. The drive blurred into red lights and shaking breaths. Adrian kept talking. The entire way, soft, steady words meant for a baby who could barely hear them and a mother barely holding together. At the emergency entrance, he didn't wait. 8 months. High fever. "Won't take medication," he told the nurse, voice firm, unbreakable. An hour later, Lily slept at last, fever, dropping small chest rising and falling in exhausted rhythm. Maya collapsed into a chair beside the bed, her body finally understanding what had almost happened. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. Adrian knelt in front of her. "She's okay," he said gently. "She's safe." That was when Maya broke. All the fear, all the loneliness, all the nights of pretending she was stronger than she felt came pouring out. Adrian held her, without asking, arms solid, human, real. For the first time in a long time, she didn't feel alone in the dark. They returned home at dawn. The next evening, after Lily slept, Adrian asked her to sit. His face was different, resolved, hollow, terrified. "There's something you need to know," he said. Maya listened as he spoke the words that felt unreal even as he said them. A diagnosis. A tumor. Inoperable. A timeline measured in months, not years. "I can't do this to you," he finished quietly, "to either of you." Her heart dropped. "I won't let Lily get attached. I won't let you watch me disappear." His voice shook. "You need to leave." Maya stared at him, disbelief turning to pain, pain turning to fury. "You don't get to decide that alone," she said. "You don't get to love us and then run." But Adrian had already begun retreating, choosing distance over devastation, silence over staying. And as Maya held Lily that night, packing in the dark, one truth burned brighter than fear. Losing him would hurt, but being pushed away hurt more. Some choices feel like protection, until you realize they're just another kind of loss. Morning came too fast. Maya barely slept. She sat on the edge of the bed with Lily curled against her chest, the room half packed, half abandoned, just like her heart. Dawn slipped through the curtains, pale and indifferent, as if nothing had been shattered the night before. She moved quietly through the house, suitcase in one hand, diaper bag in the other. No coffee. No goodbye notes. Leaving quickly was the only way she knew how to survive. The kitchen was empty. Good, she thought, easier this way. But as she reached for her phone to call a ride, Lily stirred. Her small body tensed. Then she leaned forward, stretching her arms toward the doorway. Papa Lily whimpered, then louder. "Pa, pa!" Maya froze. Footsteps echoed behind her. Adrian stood there, unshaven, eyes red, wearing the same clothes as the night before. He looked like a man who hadn't moved, hadn't breathed, hadn't forgiven himself for a single second. "Maya," he said hoarsely. "Please!" She turned, fire and heartbreak colliding in her chest. "You don't get to say that," she snapped. "You don't get to decide when love ends." Lily cried harder now, reaching for him with desperate insistence. Adrian took a step forward. Maya stepped back. "No," she said. "You chose to leave us. Now live with it." Adrian stopped. His face crumpled, not loudly, not dramatically, but completely. The kind of breaking that happens when there's nothing left to hold together. "I was afraid," he whispered. "Afraid of you watching me fade. Afraid of her remembering me sick. Afraid that loving you would make losing everything unbearable." "You think I'm not afraid?" Maya's voice shook. "I wake up afraid every day. But I stay. I don't run when it hurts." Silence pressed between them. Then Adrian dropped to his knees. Not as a gesture, as surrender. "I was wrong," he said, tears finally spilling. "I don't want to protect you from me. I want to be with you however long I have. I want to fight. I want to stay." Lily quieted, as if she understood. She reached out again, touching Adrian's cheek with her warm, clumsy hand. "Papa," she said softly. Something inside Maya broke open. She looked at her daughter, at the trust, the love, the simple certainty in that small face, and realized the truth she'd been running from. This wasn't about avoiding pain. It was about choosing love even when it terrified you. Maya set the suitcase down. She crossed the room slowly and stood in front of Adrian. "If I stay," she said, voice steady. "Now you don't get to run again. We decide together. We hurt together. We stay." Adrian nodded, pressing his forehead into Lily's tiny hand like a promise. "I swear." Maya closed her eyes, and for the first time she chose not safety, but courage. Because sometimes the bravest thing you can do is love knowing it might cost you everything. They didn't fix everything that day. There was no sudden peace, no magic moment where fear vanished. What they chose instead was harder and braver. They chose to stay. The mansion changed slowly, almost imperceptibly, like a body learning to breathe again after holding its breath for too long. Mornings began with shared silence that no longer felt heavy. Adrian moved into the guest room down the hall from Maya, not because distance was needed, but because respect still mattered. Love, they both knew now, wasn't something you rushed just because time felt fragile. They talked. About everything. About death and terror and Lily's future. And the nights Adrian woke up convinced he was already disappearing. About Maya's fear of building a home that might collapse again. They spoke until words ran out, then sat together, until the quiet felt honest. Lily became the bridge neither of them could cross alone. She learned to crawl across the marble floors, laughing like the house was hers, which in a way it had become. Adrian watched every milestone with reverence, as if committing each one to memory. He held her during feedings, paced with her at night, whispered promises he didn't know if he'd be allowed to keep. "You saved me," he told Maya once, voice rough. "No," she replied gently. "We saved each other." Weeks passed. Fear didn't leave, but it softened around the edges. It learned to coexist with laughter, with routine, with the radical act of planning tomorrow anyway. One evening, as Lily slept between them on the couch, Adrian finally said it aloud. "I don't know how much time I have," he said, staring at his daughter's peaceful face. "But I know how I want to spend it." Maya didn't interrupt. "I want to be her father," he continued. "Not in moments, not in fragments, fully, legally, completely." His breath shook. "And I want to love you without pretending I'm disposable." Maya felt the weight of it press into her chest, heavy, terrifying, sacred. "If we do this," she said quietly, "it's not a countdown. We don't live like every day is an ending." Adrian nodded. "We live like it's a beginning." She looked at Lily, at the trust written into her small body as she slept between two hearts that had learned how to choose. Maya reached for Adrian's hand. "Then we become a family," she said. "Not because it's safe, but because it's real." Adrian closed his eyes, overwhelmed, and in a house once ruled by grief, 3 lives aligned not around fear of loss, but around the courage to love without guarantees. Some families are born, others are chosen, and the strongest ones are built by those who stay even when leaving would hurt less. The phone rang on an ordinary morning. That was the cruelest part, it sounded like every other call. No warning, no drama, just vibration on the kitchen counter, while Maya wiped Lily's hands, and Adrian poured coffee, moving carefully, like time itself might crack, if handled too roughly. Adrian glanced at the screen and went still. "Geneva," he said quietly. Maya's heart dropped. "Answer it," she whispered, though every instinct begged him not to. He put the call on speaker. "Mr. Hawthorne," a formal voice said. "This is Dr. Keller from the University Hospital in Geneva. We need to speak with you urgently about your tests." Adrian's jaw tightened. "I'm listening." There was a pause. "Too long. There has been an error," the doctor continued. "A serious one. Your test results were mistakenly switched with another patient's." The room seemed to tilt. "What kind of error?" Maya asked, her voice barely there. Another pause. Then, you do not have a brain tumor. You never did. Silence exploded. Adrian stared at nothing, coffee slipping from his hand and shattering against the floor. He didn't move. Didn't breathe. You're saying? Maya whispered, stepping closer. He's not dying. That is correct, the doctor said. All repeated tests confirm it. Mr. Hawthorne is completely healthy. The call ended, but the world didn't resume. Adrian sank into a chair, as if his bones had forgotten how to hold him. I'm not dying, he said slowly, like testing the weight of each word. I'm not dying. Maya laughed, and then she cried. She covered her mouth, tears spilling freely, uncontrollably, years of fear draining out all at once. Lily clapped her hands, delighted by the sudden noise, by joy she didn't understand but felt. Adrian pulled them both into his arms, holding on like the ground itself might disappear if he let go. I almost lost you, he choked. I almost pushed you away for nothing. No, Maya said through tears. Not for nothing. We learned something. He looked at her eyes, red alive, truly alive. They had loved without guarantees. They had chosen each other under the shadow of an ending. They had built something real when time felt borrowed. And now they had been given time back, not as a promise, as a gift. Adrian kissed Lily's hair, laughing through tears. I'm going to see you grow up, he whispered. I'm going to be here. Maya rested her forehead against his. We don't waste this, she said softly. Not one ordinary day. Outside sunlight spilled into the kitchen like it always had. But inside everything was different. Because the miracle wasn't just that death had stepped back. It was that love had already stepped forward and stayed. The mansion no longer felt like a monument to loss. It felt like a home. Mornings were loud now. Lily's laughter echoing down the hallways, Maya studying at the kitchen table, while Adrian flipped pancakes and pretended not to burn them. The future, once fragile and terrifying, unfolded gently. Not perfect, just real. They learned something precious in the season when they believed time was running out. They learned that love doesn't wait for certainty. That family isn't defined by blood, but by who stays when leaving would hurt less. That life isn't measured in how long we live, but in how bravely we choose to love while we're here. Adrian returned to work, but never at the cost of dinner together. Maya chased her dream of becoming a teacher, supported without conditions. Lily grew surrounded by safety laughter and two people who had once been strangers and chose every day to be her parents. And sometimes late at night when the house was quiet again, not empty, just resting, Maya would catch Adrian watching their daughter sleep, not out of fear anymore, out of gratitude, because they knew something now that many people never learn until it's too late. Ordinary days are the miracle. Shared breakfasts, small hands reaching for yours, someone choosing to stay. This story isn't really about illness or wealth or fate. It's about choice. We spend so much time waiting to be ready, waiting to feel safe, waiting for the right moment to love fully. But the truth is there are no guarantees. There never were. What we do have is now. So love now, stay now, say the words, make the call, build the family, whatever that looks like for you. Because in the end, the greatest risk isn't losing someone. It's never truly living with them while you had the chance. If this story touched something in you, please leave a comment and tell us where you're watching from, or what part spoke to your heart. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this story with someone who might need it today. Because maybe, just maybe, this was the story you were meant to hear.